'Tis I, your old pal King Chuck. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Boy, howdy, is it cold outside. It is 25 degrees, and it's what, middle of March? Let's see, it's March 17th. It's St. Patty's Day. I am wearing a shirt that has some green on it, so nobody pinched me today. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that nowadays you can't be pinched at work, or else it's sexual harassment. And I'd be, either somebody at work would be out of a job, or I would be out of a job. That's not really nice, of course, to pinch me. But, yes, anyway, of course, the Oscars were on the other day. And, of course, by now I think most of you know the results. Of course, the one battle after another. Directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. 6 Oscars, Best Picture, Best Director. Fun fact, Paul Thomas Anderson, son of Ernie Anderson, longtime voice of the ABC network. The Love Boat. That was his trademark. Ernie definitely had a golden set of pipes. He was also Ghoulardi on Cleveland television. He got his start in Cleveland, where he played Ghoulardi on WJW Channel 8 way back in the day. And that's why Paul Thomas Anderson plays Ghoulardi. Well, he didn't play Ghoulardi. Ghoulardi Productions is the name of his company. So he named the company after his dad. So there you go. So very successful director, of course. Mr. Maya Rudolph. And of course, Maya even has famous parents, or at least a famous parent. The late, great Minnie Riperton of the song Lovin' You. And no, I will not try to sing that. I don't have the pipes for that. Thank you very much. By the way, second place in the terms of Oscar wins on Sunday went to 4 Oscars for Sinners. And of course, it starred Michael B. Jordan, won Best Actor. And of course, Michael B. Jordan made headlines when he won the Oscar. His after party was at In-N-Out Burger. Yeah, he was eating an In-N-Out Burger with his Oscar sitting on the tray. Oh my God. You know, once upon a time out in Los Angeles, you would see the celebrities go to places like the Brown Derby and Bob's Big Boy. Nope. You see him at In-N-Out these days. Good place for a celebrity. Yeah. Hey, you know, they're not out here in Michigan, so anyway, so third place in the Oscar winnings this year. Third place went to Frankenstein, which was the on Netflix, and third place, 2 wins for another Netflix picture, which was, of course, K-Pop Demon Hunters, Best Animated Feature, I should say, because it's not a short, and the Best Song for the song Golden. So there you go. Now, the Oscar ceremony was loaded with a ton of jokes by the great Conan O'Brien, who once again hosted the Oscars, and he is turning definitely into one of the Oscar hosting goats. Yes, I love the Cones. Yes, I love the old Conehead. I've been a fan of his ever since he did Late Night back in the day with him and Andy Richter and Max Weinberg's 7. The Masturbating Bear. He used to have a peacock. Remember he used to do, like a peacock that basically pimped everything for NBC. Conan and Andy on the Aisle. Oh man, and they basically took a current movie and fucked it all up. It was too funny. I mean, that show was just outlandishly funny. Oh man, late night. I'll tell you something. It is so heartbreaking. You see what's going on with late night TV and all the what's going on right now. And the good news is, but it's like, thankfully we still have Jimmy Kimmel. I know what a shame what's going on with Colbert. But then again, you also look at what happened to Conan too. Let's remember what happened to him. Jay Leno fucked him over big time. Yeah, remember what happened, folks. Conan was given late night with Conan, the Tonight Show, excuse me. And then he moved. So what happened was, many years ago, he got the Tonight Show. And then Jay Leno was given the 10 o'clock show called The Jay Leno Show. And it was a colossal bomb. So what does NBC do? They say, yeah, we're going to move the show back to 11:35. And tell Conan, yeah, you're going to midnight now. And Conan wasn't happy. Yeah, I remembered the whole spiel. And so Conan quit. And so, yeah, he went to TBS for a while, and now he's doing a lot of other projects. So good for him. So he's still rocking and rolling after all these years. Good for him. So anyway, so this was a bittersweet. Yeah, as a matter of fact, Conan O'Brien. Let me tell you some of my favorite jokes. I love the one about Kid Rock. He said that Kid Rock hosted an alternative Oscar show at the Dave & Buster's. The Oscars this year is presented at the Has a Small Penis Theater. So whoever puts their name in front of the theater's name will say that they have a small penis. Yeah, it was a jab at Trump because, Kennedy Center. And of course, let's not forget, and this is a good one, because it is definitely kind of a sad situation. The joke was, for the first time since 2012, no British man was nominated for an Oscar. And what happened was, Conan said, at least the British are smart enough to throw their pedophiles in prison. Yeah, because Prince Andrew. But of course, it all started with people like Jimmy Savile. And, it's like they really look down on pedos. But here in America, of course, now we got one who's in the White House. And his situation is, I've been listening to Midas Touch, and, they're censoring, they're still censoring the Epstein files, and allegedly one of the redacted files dealt with Donald Trump allegedly forcing an underage girl to give him oral sex long time ago, and the girl ended up biting his dick. Yeah. I would be too if somebody put their dick in my mouth. What a fucking sick situation. Sick man. So anyway, here's the story, folks. This year's Oscars, the two top Oscar winners this year, One Battle After Another and Sinners, both films were Warner Brothers Pictures. And the other big winners this year were all from, both of the other winners, of course, as we all know, were from Netflix, as I mentioned. And Warner Brothers is about ready to be engulfed and devoured by Paramount and Skydance and the Ellison family. And of course, if you know your Mel Brooks, you probably get the reference. So, yeah, for those who don't, let me give you a little quickie. Engulf and Devour was a fictional company from the 1976 Mel Brooks film called Silent Movie. And so the joke was 50, 60 years ago, all the major film studios in Hollywood were being bought out by conglomerates. And in the case of Paramount, they were bought by a company called Gulf and Western, which made their fortune in automotive parts. And they had factories around the world, including the small town where I grew up in Elk Rapids, Michigan. And what happened was, Gulf and Western was once a big, huge company. And of course, then they became Paramount Communications, and then they became part of Viacom, and it was Viacom for many, many years, or Viacom or Paramount or whatever. And now they're in the hands of Skydance. So anyway, the Redstone family had control of Paramount for 30 years or so, and now it's in the hands of the Ellison family, this mega rich family who made their money in Oracle tech and other stuff, and of course they're outlandishly far right-wing conservatives, and they are turning CBS into a right-wing hellhole. And it's like you keep hearing the sounds of Walter Cronkite spinning in his grave. So now so it's like Warner Brothers by this time next year, will probably fade into memory, and CNN itself will be under the hurtful claws of Barry Weiss, and that stupid cunt is gonna ruin that company. Mark my words. So what's going on is now Donald Trump and one of his henchmen, the FCC chairman, Brendan Carr, they have, or as I love to call him, the FCC czar, if you will, they are now standing together and saying that if you say anything negative against Trump, it is treason. And that if you own, and if you're in the, if you have a TV or radio station and one of your people, decides to say that this war in Iran is poorly run and disastrous, we're going to take away your license. Yeah, it's kind of like, back in the 60s, Walter Cronkite, he actually went to Vietnam. He actually took video of the situation over there. It was a disaster. It was a war we shouldn't have fought. And if there was anything good about that war, it exposed LBJ as a corporate pawn. I'm sorry to break it to you. He ruined the image of the Democratic Party. He was a corporate Democrat. He was a very wealthy man. Hell, he even owned for many years, he owned the only TV station in Austin, Texas. And, but yeah, that was the situation. Walter Cronkite told everyone this was an unjust war. And, it just goes on and on and on. And what happened? So now it's like, okay. So now you're basically saying, so what these people are doing is saying, if you say anything bad about me, I'm going to go after you. And I'm like, where did I hear this before? Oh yeah, the several cease and desist orders that I've gotten. Ever since I started this website, chuck69.com, 27 years ago. Of course, I haven't updated chuck69.com in a couple, over a year now. Maybe I got to get back on there, see how that old website's doing. It's kind of hard to do, when your dad is around, and he can be very nosy because he's, very mega. So let me tell you what happened. So let me tell you about the last time I got a cease and desist order. It so it came from a guy who I think might have actually been a kid. So I will tell you the story. So almost 15 years ago, up in Traverse City, where I grew up, Traverse City, Michigan, which, by the way, is getting slammed with snow. There was a guy so the story was there was a horrible incident that happened. There was a murder of a 16-year-old girl named Carly Lewis. Carly was killed by her similar-aged boyfriend, Robert Schwander. Robert allegedly had mental issues. And his father, Scott Schwander, who was a sheriff's deputy for the Grand Traverse County Sheriff's Department, was, so the story was, allegedly he kicked his own son out. For whatever reason, we don't know. So what happened was Robert was brought in by Carly's family. Carly's mother, I had to take a drink of water, apologies. So what she did was she brought in Robert. So she brought in Robert, and he stayed for a few days, and he started acting strange. So he became a threat to the family. So she kicked Robert out. Robert found shelter in a makeshift shack at a construction site. Excuse me. And what happened was Robert told Carly, "Please come over and keep me company," and she did. He ended up strangling her to death. And her body was found, and Robert was found guilty and was sentenced to like 30 years in prison. And what happened was the Schwander family stepped in and said he was tried as an adult. Under law, he was supposed to be tried as a kid because he was only 16. So they dragged the Lewis family back into court multiple times. And each time the judge said, "Fuck you." So now Robert is sitting in jail where he belongs. And so I gave Robert the Bee-otch of the day. And I said, basically what I did was I said, you know, I think this, totally forgot what I said, but I think it was that any police officer who can't control their own fucking kids should not be a cop. And I was really hoping that Scott would be ejected from his duties. Well, Robert I know he took a leave of absence, but they decided to keep him. So what happened was Scott's other son and Robert's brother, Walker, who I assume was younger than Robert, wrote me a very nasty letter saying that I had until 7 o'clock. Don't know if it was AM or PM. He didn't say. You have until 7 o'clock to take this shit off your website. You are a stupid fuck, blah, 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 blah. My daddy's a cop and he's gonna, what you did was a felony. It was not a felony. You want to know who else would have said it wasn't a felony, what I said? The founding fathers of the United States of America. This blog is protected under the First Amendment. And you know something, man? I hate it when people come to me and said, "You shouldn't say that about me. You are a loser. Blah, blah, blah. It happened to me multiple times, a couple of times actually. And of course, two of them were connected. And of course, yeah, I told you multiple times about Roy Henderson and the other asshole who doxed me because, he was a total loser who, couldn't provide for his family. As a matter of fact, when his wife left him, and I guess he got evicted from his home, I saw that he ended up in a trailer. Yeah. Yeah, somebody who ended up, trashing me for living in an apartment. Yeah. Here's the reason why I ended up in an apartment, dumbass. It's because of people like you. People who voted for Reagan and trickle-down economics, which, by the way, doesn't fucking exist. Period. And you know something, man? I get angry knowing that my life, yeah, I understand. My life did not go as planned. But then again, nobody does. I mean, I was hoping for kind of a fairy tale life growing up, but it never happened because I had to deal with my parents' divorce. I had to deal with being too far away from, people who actually cared about me and liked me. And my parents were, kept telling me that I'm the bear parent. No, I'm the bear parent. I'm the bear parent. No, I'm the bear. Yeah, they did that to me growing up, and they still do that. Man, I can go on and on. By the way, I did. So anyway, I should point this out. So Scott Schwander, the father, the story was I did get rid of the blog. I had to. I was scared. And so what I did, so anyway, so here's the story. When Scott left, Scott eventually left the force, but he actually had a hobby. And that hobby was he would go to grave sites, clean graves of Native Americans who died in the Civil War. And I think to myself, that's nice. And the media was playing it, they basically painted him as a wonderful human being who cared about his heritage. And you know what I thought about at the same time? It ain't gonna bring Carly Lewis back. She didn't deserve this shit. And not only that, Scotty's wife, who I assume is the mother of Robert Schwander, Tina, I looked through her Facebook page one day, and she actually posted that she hoped that Joe Biden would die in the White House. Yeah. Very sick people. And I also saw that they also put up a billboard in Traverse City saying that, oh, I love you, honey. Yeah. Very narcissistic people. And, it's sad that their son's girlfriend had to pay the price. But you know what, folks? I have to tell you this. This everything that I write is protected under the First Amendment. I don't create lies about people. I tell the truth, and I source my stuff from newspapers, from internet articles, you name it. And if you got a problem with me, take it up with me instead of, instead of trying to fight me like a total loser, like the douchebags that you are. I've dealt with this shit all my life. And you know what? Here's the thing, folks. I want to tell you a little story. So the other day, Burger King. So this is what Burger King... Burger King's numbers have been off for years. And what happened was the president of Burger King, he put his voice in a commercial. It aired during the Oscars, and what had happened was, it was set to Baba O'Reilly from The Who, Teenage Wasteland. I saw the commercial, and basically what he said in that ad was, yes, we understand that our numbers are off. We don't have, people are angry about the lack of quality that we have in the old restaurants and the long waits and blah, blah, blah. But we're going to change all that. And we're going to, we've refreshed our restaurants. We have a new logo. We got rid of the King mascot. And now we're the cool restaurant again. And it's like, okay, let me tell you a little story. Here in Grand Rapids, several Burger Kings closed up, including 29th and East Paris. That Burger King shuttered. A few years before it closed, I went there for lunch. I went through the drive-thru, and what happened was I ordered a big fish, and they screwed up the order. And the lady at the Burger King said, I apologize. Go ahead and park. We'll give you your order as soon as it's done. And it was like 45 minutes. Finally, it was cooked, and, it was all right. But I was pissed that these people, didn't know the hole from their ass. So what happened was, anyway, it closed. And I'm like, good. But then what happened was it reopened. New signs, some renovations here and there. So my mom and I went back there a few weeks ago. And they had a kiosk where we could order. So that's what we did, because there was no guy at the counter. And what happened was we ended up waiting like 20 minutes. And there was another couple that was in there. And they got served first. And the old guy came up and said, here's your lemonade and your cup for your soft drink. That was what my mom and I got. And I'm like, I was thinking, is that a coincidence or what? But then the meal came out and said, okay. And he listed off, I think it was a Whopper for my mom. My mom got a Whopper, and I got the Baconator, or whatever the hell that is. And guess what happened? It was our meal. And I said, that's our meal. And I said, yeah, I even wrote my last name on there. And I said, oh, I'm sorry. It was a freaking 80-year-old black man who was there, who looked like he had his fair share of drugs over the years. It's like, oh my God. It's like they didn't learn their mistakes. Now, let's say, okay, so when you're the head of a business, you have two choices. Choice number one, acknowledging that you were at fault. Number two, be a royal asshole and say, fuck you, don't ever come back to my business again. And unfortunately, I look at Roy Henderson, and he was option two. Don't talk about me. Don't say nothing, blah, blah, blah. And guess what happened? He ended up losing a couple of lawsuits. He lost the transmitter site for WLDR. His station in Frankfurt, 99.3, isn't at full power. And nobody wants to work for him. Gee, I wonder why. Oh, yeah, it's because he's an asshole. And there's the receipts. And, with so many AM and FM stations shutting down, I'm wondering when his Benzie County stations, I think the Benzie County stations are next. And WLDR in general will probably be next too. Big waste of $3.6 million right there. You see, folks, when you start a business, Don't tell yourself, I don't have a boss. I'm my own boss. Don't tell yourself that at all. The truth is, you now have countless bosses, and they all have a name, your customers. If your customers get bad, lousy service, and they give you a 1-star review, don't bitch at them. Do a better job next time. You know? Look at what the fuck is wrong. Because Roy was going around telling people in Traverse City, allegedly, that WLDR Sunny Country 1019 is number one. It wasn't. And now Donald Trump's doing the same shit. And guess what? Like Roy, he's a failed businessman. Whatever happened, bankrupt casinos. And Trump dumped his name on so many products that ended up failing. Because that's who Donald Trump is. Failure. And now he's failing America with high gas prices, high food prices, jobs that are disappearing left and right and everywhere else. He is a very sick and demanded man. And you know what? He's got to realize that yes, he might be the boss, but he's not the boss. We're the boss, the American people. And we're going to prove it to him this November with the bluest tsunami imaginable. We need to take this country back from this orange asshole. And we need to do it not with corporate idiots who keep losing our trust. I'm tired of these, centralists who will actually bow to Trump on a lot of things. We need true democracy here in America. We need people, like Zohan Mandani. We need, I'm glad that New York has him as the mayor. Bernie Sanders has always been a straightforward human being. He should have been the president of the United States. If he was if the Democrats allowed him to run against Trump, he would win in a heartbeat. And he would tell corporate America, fuck you. Because Trump is not winning. And we, as the American people, have the God-given right to say whatever we want to say about him. And it's not, folks, one of the most patriotic things you can do to your country is to criticize it. Burning the American flag is not anti-American. It's actually pro-American. Or flying it upside down, because we are in distress now. And, he's a hypocrite, folks. He calls himself the peacetime president. Why are we in a war? He talks about lowering gas prices. Why are gas prices higher than when Biden was president? $3.99 a gallon. And in other places, it's way higher. I'm hoping that MAGA people are stepping in and saying, we didn't vote for this shit. Because guess what? You did. It's time to tell Dementia Donnie that, unlike that song, we're not going up, up, up. That song that won the Oscar this year. No, we're going down into a big old ball of flames. And we can wash it off with a blue tsunami, folks. Vote blue this November. And during, if you can, vote for the bluest candidates during the primary elections where you live. We gotta tell Trump to knock it off. And what we really need to do is to, if Trump's going to tell us, that what we're doing by attacking him is treasonous, guess what? He should be tried for war crimes, because that's what's going on, folks. He is a murderer. He murdered young children in Iran. It's time, folks. Look, we're long overdue, and it's got to stop. Okay, enough of my blabbing for right now. I gotta get home. Good day and good luck. Keep warm, everyone.